It's from Jose Sanchez. And the subject is MLB Pitch Clock. Hello, gentlemen. Enjoy the twerp. Good start. Hope everyone is doing well. Given that all you guys are big sports fans, just want to get your thoughts on the new MLB Pitch Clock. Personally, I love the idea, and it really speeds up the game. I think it's a good start, but they should just try and do more things to speed things up. Maybe each game should be 8 innings instead of 9. Maybe innings 1 through 4 you put in a 3-run mercy rule, and then 5 through 8 can be normal. Overall thoughts. Also, I realize I double submitted, but in my defense, you had other people submit twice with no suspension. And to be fair, your wimp producer has censored me in the past multiple times. Thanks, and that's from Jose from Queens, New York. P.S. Get your disco candles at Amazon Boom. P.P.S. Disco, one of my good buddies wanted me to thank you. Apparently thoroughly enjoyed the treatment you gave in the back room of Sapphires. Something about the banana being delicious, whatever that means.
See,
All
he's
right,
blaming me. He's blaming me for censoring him. Clearly, he just got himself suspended again.
Yeah, again, you get another week for suspension here, Jose Sanchez. But Conan, did you see that? Okay, so the Boston, the opening night game between Boston of spring training, Boston and the Braves. Did you see what happened?
Yes.
Okay, so the guy, this is great, bro. What a fantastic spot. I mean, you could not have scripted a better spot.
Right.
The game was 6-6 in the bottom
and
of the ninth
inning.
And
it stayed at 6-6.
6-6. The Braves had the bases loaded, 2 outs, and a 3-2 count. And the umpire called the pitch clock violation on the batter for taking too much time and strike 3. That's how the game ended.
Yeah.
Like that's totally that's like
and
the distraction.
The funniest part is the guy started walking to first base thinking that he'd been awarded a base. The guy's like, no, I'm throwing.
Right. No.
Yeah.
You're out.
Yeah. They did that, and in the San Diego Padre game, Machado took too much time, and they gave him a strike.
Right.
Yeah, I like that, bro. I like it. It speeds up the game. The game needs to be speeded up. The old timers don't like it. You know, like I was watching like PTI, and like Wilburn was like, "Oh, I like to sit down for 4 hours, and if I want to sit there 4.5 hours and have my hot dog and all this," and I've heard it like a lot of old timers they're against it. But bro, it's time for a change. That's why a lot of young people aren't into baseball because it's too It's too long.
Let me tell you this. With this idea, how you think about this idea, okay? During how the soccer leagues, okay? They have in-season tournaments, okay, and they give away a cup. And winning the in-season tournament is kind of like a big deal, right?
Right.
Decrease the number of games in baseball, replace them with an in-season World Cup type tournament, where like the all-stars of each country, like. You'll take a week off. The All-Stars will go play a couple games in the tournament, like, you know, saying that the baseball have another week off here. They'll play or just some type of an in-season tournament. Decrease the number of regular season games and expand the playoffs for more series. Because then you have way more games that mean something as opposed to all these games that are 162 games. Bro, like we're done after 100 games. It's like there's a part of the season where when baseball starts and like you get in June, July, when it's really hot outside and stuff, it's like you're not really. It's like Jesus. We need. I can't wait for baseball to get going here to the playoffs, right? So you can shorten the regular season, and add a tournament and let's add playoff games. I think would make it more interesting. What do you think?
I agree, and they should do it for basketball too.
Right.
And hockey. And you'd probably be fresher at the end of the year and not as many injuries, know, but it's all, and here's the other thing I wanted to say, because I forgot to tell you, the other thing I like about that pitch count, because it speeds up the game is, bro, guys like, Giovanni Gallegos or no?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. So he's a Mexican guy, plays for the Cardinals, for those of you that don't know, or Kenley Jensen, who everybody knows. Bro, they take literally 25 to 30 seconds between each pitch with nobody on base. And you're just like, come on, dude, let's go. Let's go.
Yeah. Brutal, right?
Yeah.
All right. So next is from Hank Beanie, and the subject is Andrade. Hey guys, I was watching the Charlotte Flair Dom Mysterio segment this past week, and I saw Charlotte reference Andrade. Andrade was suspended by Tony Khan in November, and he hasn't wrestled in a match since. If you're Tony Khan, what would you do with Andrade? Also, a question for Conan. See, Dom has been trying to grow a mustache for a while. Why in Mexican culture do all the guys that want to portray themselves as tough have mustaches? El Chapo, El Mencho, Juan Sebastian, MMA referee Mike Beltran. Is it a sign of strength or something? Thank you, and that's from Handsome Hank.
Jeez.
What would you do with that Andrade, Conan?
Well, I think Tony's already shown us what he's going to do, what he's done with everybody else. He doesn't let anybody go.
Yeah.
If you're under contract, he's going to keep you there. Yeah. And from my understanding, he's going to be coming back and probably team up with Roosh. Yeah.
All right, next is from what's the deal with the mustaches?
I don't know. I mean, I like how you say they portray themselves as tough guys. Chapo was a badass. So is Mencho. They just wanted to grow a mustache. That's what they do, you know.
All right, so this is from Nexus from Eddie Hogan. The subject is Disco. Disco is wrong. Let's suspend him for. I'm not going to read this.
Wow.
Just suspend him for a week for that. Okay. Disco, you're the man, but I really question your ideas for the Usos at WrestleMania. Your ideas for doing Jay and Sammy versus Solo and Jimmy is flat out bad. The Usos have been tag team champions for well over a year, and it was a classic run filled with some of the greatest tag matches and coolest finishes I've ever seen. And your bright idea is to just have them vacate the titles. I have to say this, though. I do think it's time to break them up. All right. Well,
I mean, you just
even if they turn, make them 2 weeks. All right. Even if they turn babyface, it's all been done before. The Usos are simply one of the greatest tag teams in wrestling history, but I think that it's coming up to a good time to break them up. So Conan, Disco, and Joe, if you're booking the breakup, what would you do? By the way, guys, I follow hugely on Instagram, and wouldn't you know it, the Irish Lust was photographed out drinking all weekend.
Of course he was.
What a stereotype. His chick is pretty hot, though, so he's getting props for that.
That's actually a guy.
Want to hear the last sentence?
Yeah.
I bet she's a beard. Okay, first of all, I think that makes the bloodline. Okay, think about this. What if the Usos, after all that time, they have to vacate the titles because of family problems? I think it makes the storyline more interesting. To be honest with you, like that's one of the things, like how like the turmoil this family's gone through. You know, I don't know. I mean, I just said there's a million things you could do to write that story. I liked that. Everywhere they go is not really wrong, but I like the idea of Sammy and Jay together. I think are huge baby faces. They're huge baby faces, you know. And you got a couple killer heel tag teams you can feed those guys too, you know. So they're like the best buddy gimmick, you know. I don't know. But what do you think, Conan?
Yeah, I agree. Bro. I mean, they've had it forever. You got to do something to freshen it up and elongate the storyline so they don't become stale, and that's a great way of refreshing it up.
Just imagine if they did a deal where, you know, the reveal is like Kevin Owens turns on those guys and reveals that Roman got to him, and he's like now buddies with the Bloodline. You know, bro, there's a million things.
There's many ways you can go. Yeah.
Next one's from John Roddy, and the subject is Mike Tyson. Did you guys see the Undertaker's appearance on the Mike Tyson podcast? It was pretty dull, but they showed Tyson the infamous Hell in the Cell match for the first time. And during the episode, and it got me thinking. Disco and Conan and Joe too, I guess. You guys have been very critical of wrestlers doing the crazy bumps and stunts, but what did you think of that Cell match? Did you like it back then and hate it now? Still like it or still think the Foley went too far? Billy is on the rag. Okay, John, right. Bro, all the people that sit there and rag on Billy now, they're kind of having to come home to roost because a lot of the stuff that he got not to be true. Because I guess that Sasha Banks show was not so.
Bro, that doesn't matter. When you dislike somebody, the truth has nothing to do with. Yeah. Right.
Okay, but I'll say this. It's an unbelievable spectacle. But watching the fact that he got thrown off the top of the cage had never been done before. Like, how, you know, and Undertaker was saying, like, I hope I didn't kill him. It's like, I mean, like, think about that. It's like, bro, they're going over the match, and Mick tells him he wants to do this, and like Undertaker didn't say, like, no, dude, you can't do that, you might die. Kind of weird. But just the fact that he was stretchered out, he got back up and climbed back up, and this is all kind of ad lib, and he got choke slammed through the fence and almost looked like he could have broken his neck if he landed wrong. You know, and so if he landed flat, thank God. So, you know, but I go back and watch that and just then there's the whole thing of Jim Ross saying, you know, somebody stop the damn match. Enough's enough. It's like the guy was trying to kill himself. You know, so, Conan, what's going on with your headset?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right.
All right. What's wrong with it?
It's just hurting my head. Yeah.
Oh, it was? Okay.
Yeah, I think when it happened, I was 16 maybe, so I thought it was great at the time, you know, but now that I'm older and I watch it, it's just like, I mean, was it worth it? You know, would he still have become champion and been as over as he was if he didn't do that? I don't know, but I mean, think about the long-term effects on him from that.
Yeah. How about you, Conan?
He rolled away for a second.
I did. I had to take the hat off.
Yeah.
What's your take on the Hell in the Cell when you see it today?
Well, you know, we were in a different time, and everybody's trying to stick out and make a name for themselves. Because I remember I used to ask Sabu, "Why are you doing all this crazy?" He goes, "I got to do something to stick out." And that's what he did. You know, he did pay a heavy price for it. But you know, he became a legend. Also, it's something that nobody will ever forget, and one of the most craziest moments and memorable moments in the history of this industry. And it just shows how much he loved it that he was willing to take that risk. So
I think if I don't stand corrected here, wasn't that also during a really hot period of time?
Yep.
Where
it was the hottest.
The competition was like really, really stiff, and it's like, look at what the guys were willing to do in the ratings war. You know, like trying to get people to watch their show instead of the other show. Like, you had a guy that's willing to kill himself. You know, so
yeah, that was right during the summer of '98 when it was still going back and forth. You know.
Yeah, and when Rodman was on Nitro in the middle of the playoffs, and Goldberg was beating Hogan. Like all that stuff was like right around this time. You know.
Mm-hmm.